guys? Do your kids sometimes behave in a way that you're like, what the heck? Well, check this out. Sometime last week, I can't quite remember exactly when, I set little Lean Dude to eat his lunch on his high chair and he started throwing his food like a crazy person. And he had never done that before. And I'm like, what? What? Just like throwing his food on the ground, on the table. And I'm like, well, you're clearly not hungry because you're not eating your food. So I took him out of his chair, and then maybe an hour or so later, he started crying about everything. And I'm like, dude, what is up with this kid? He keeps crying and crying and crying. Then at one point he cried so big and so loud that I looked inside his mouth and he had a ton of sores on his tongue. So many. The poor thing was in so much pain. That's why he wasn't eating. Oh, and obviously I felt like the worst mom in the world. But you know, I felt that for a minute and then I had to let it go because I can't wallow in mommy guilt forever, right? We have to move on with our life. For me, that was a really good reminder about communication. Communication is probably the most basic ability of all living things. All living things communicate. Plants communicate, single-celled organisms communicate, animals communicate. Obviously, we have a more sophisticated way of communicating, but plants and single-celled organisms, they communicate through chemical signals, and animals communicate also through chemical signals like hormones, but they also make sounds and they make gestures. And little babies are born with the ability to communicate. They cry when they're hungry, they cry when they have a poopy diaper. But as our kids grow and learn to talk and develop language, we kind of forget that there's still a lot they can't tell us. Like with my son, he doesn't have the words to tell me, Mom, my tongue hurts, I have sores on my tongue. He doesn't know it yet. The thing that I wanted to tell you about today is that all behavior is communication at some level. All behavior is someone trying to get a message across to you. So what is communication? Well, communication has 4 parts. It involves a sender, a receiver, a message, and a mode of transmission. And the thing is this, all behavior, whether good or bad or however you want to label it, is communication. It's always someone trying to tell someone else something. So if your kid is behaving badly, it's because they're trying to get something across to you and they can't do it any other way. There's something they need to tell you. So they may not have the words, or they just might be emotionally exhausted, physically exhausted, whatever. It's important for us to keep that in mind with little kids, because very often we lose our patience because we can't figure out what they need, or we just think that they're doing that because they're being brats. But really there is a reason for them to be behaving that way. Next time you think your kid is giving you a hard time, think instead that they're having a hard time. They don't know any other way to tell you but to do this. I hope this will give you a way to kind of curb your frustration with them when it seems that they're being naughty, because I was very frustrated with my son that day and I feel so guilty about it looking back, because had I just known that he was in pain, I might have reacted differently. So today's action step is for you to do just that. Next time your kid is behaving badly, think about the reasons why that could be. Don't necessarily jump to conclusions and say, oh, they're just being naughty or they're being bad kids. Think, could there be something that I am not aware of that is causing that behavior? Could they be trying to tell me something I just can't understand? Think about that. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and if you did, share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe. This is your life. Own it. Peace.